In this video, we will continue to talk about creating additional elements and various accessories and parts, and adding also some more details to our character in Blender. So we created some parts here so far, some like underwear and t-shirt, shirt and boots, creating different apparel, doing a little bit of fashion design using different simulation tools. So we will continue to investigate more on that in this video. And plus, we're going to see other techniques to create clothing and apparel and accessories around the body of the character. So first of all, let's review something that we have done also in the previous videos. So uh, by adding some more level details, we added more features to the face and to the body. And we also used face sets to do extraction and to extract parts of the body that we need to create. So I extracted, for example, soft surfaces and also hard surfaces. So starting from the body, we can take parts of the original body mesh, we can extract those and we can turn them into something more rigid or more hard. So it would create things like iron or steel. We can do armors, we can do any additional part or accessories. And so we can extract and also use the extraction to do soft clothing and fabric and garments. We can do that also with the simulation. And this is what we saw also in the previous video. So if we see this again right now, you can see I've created a really simple mesh around the character. So this is something that we can do many ways, starting from a plane or starting from a box. And then if we press play to the simulation, that's gonna like wrap around the body that we are using as a collision. So we also created a simplified body to develop the collision. We're not using the high poly, we're using a low poly version of the body to develop the collisions. And so by doing that, we can create like the base for what could be our clothing, and then we can continue to sculpt on top of that using, again, simulation brushes and sculpting brushes. So depending also how we can set up the simulation of the clothing and the garments, we obtain different results. And we also saw how we can place seams. So you can see here I placed 3 points of seam, but if you want to have more controlled effect, you need to add more seams point. This one here was a mantle or a cloak that I also continue to sculpt, and I push down beneath the armor so that it looks like coming from below the armor. And so let's see here, let's do some other, and we use the clothes simulation and the pose tool with the clothes simulation. So you can see here, this one is a shirt and as more seams you can see here on the side. So this means that that seam is going to be stronger and it's going to be more accurate. So if you want to have better seams and do like a better patchwork of different parts of an apparel, you can add more seams. So you can either create a completely closed box only with the holes for the head and the arms, or you can add seams by deleting faces. And then you can change the type of fabric, the material, and run different types of simulation using also presets here in the collision tab, and make sure you have the seams or seaming activated, and you have some sewing force. So you have sewing right there. So you have sewing force, you have collisions, and then you have the possibility to create to attach different parts of the clothing. right there. So again, you can run all the simulations you want, and when you're happy, you can continue converting that into a simple mesh and then sculpting that out with the cloth simulation brush and the pose brush that we saw earlier. Now, if you want to create something more peculiar, more like eccentric or strange, you can say that, you can start to model in the low poly version your cloth. So if I start to push here some of these points, so I am in the edit mode right now. This is not the simulation mode or the sculpting mode, this is editing mode. So remember that everything starts from the polygonal modeling. So when I start to model this using the few polygons that I have right now, and I give a shape to my clothing, well, that's gonna also affect the final simulation. And so if I want to do, again, like fashion design, something more particular, you can play around with the shape, with the original shape in low poly version. And then when you run the simulation, that's going to affect the entire simulation. So you can see here I now have a different version of the shirt with the hood that we also created in the previous video. And this is really fun. It's really also interesting and useful if you are a fashion designer to go there and play around with different shapes and different results. Now let's move forward and let's talk about other techniques that, again, you can use to create the base mesh around your body mesh, which is going to be, again, low poly at the beginning, and then it's going to be either a soft surface or a rigid surface. So you can start with a simple plane. You can add a plane mesh, and you can place these in front of your character depending on what you need to do. So let's say that we want to continue doing something like a t-shirt, or could be also like a piece of armor. So what I'm going to do is place this plane to the breast of the character, to the chest. So you can start to move around the points again, like if you're doing simple polygonal editing, and we can turn on the snaps to the face, and we can use project onto self and also project additional there. And if you want to do something more proportional, you can do proportional or soft selection right there, and you can change that. But in the moment, since we are working with low poly structures, we don't need that. We need just the simple selection, move, rotate, and scale. So what I'm going to do here is move, and this is going to eventually snap to the body below, or on the back, because it's snapping. So this can help you to work and to place on that surface the thing that you're going to model. So we're also going to do a mirror, so you can model on both sides, and you can do clipping so that when the sides gets into the center, they get also merged together, they get unite. So if I extrude this edge, so I'm gonna select the edge mode, I'm gonna extrude this. When they're gonna get into the center, they're also gonna be combined together, they're gonna be merged. So this is essentially gonna be a single line. So you can see it's merged. So I can move it now, and I can place it in a different position, and you can see there that is snapping to the surface. So you have two options here. You can continue with the extrude, or you can use Polybuild. Polybuild, it's also an excellent way. You can extrude. So you just click on the border that you want to extrude from, and then you click and drag from there, and you create additional faces. And then if you click with the G, you can grab and move the piece. Or if you press the R, you can rotate it around, and then you can go into X-ray, and you can actually see what you're doing. So perhaps we can also turn a little bit the opacity up to see a little bit better. And now you can continue here. So you can see that it's snapping, but it's kind of snapping in the inside